about the MK party, what they're trying to do, because it looks like they're trying to eat the EFF alive, and what that might mean for South Africa's political future. Let's get into it. All right. Another week, another major EFF member defects to Jacob Zuma's MK party. First it was Floyd Shivambu, then Mzwanele Manyi, then Busisiwe Mkhwebane. At this rate, the EFF is going to have to change its name to the Economic Freedom Fighter. Just one. Singular. This time, the latest defector is Dali Mpofu, famed advocate and professional loser. Now, don't get touched. I will explain myself. That man loses so many court cases. If he was a soccer club, he would have been relegated. Last season, Dali Mpofu had the same win percentage as Cape Town Spurs, guys. You can look that up. That's facts. At some point, we have to ask if he's taking advantage of clients by encouraging them to take cases that he knows that they will lose. But he gets paid anyway. Last month, Dali Mpofu lost a case for former public protector and EFF MP termed NK party member Busisiwe Mkhwebane, and the Supreme Court of Appeal described the case as dead on arrival and slammed Mpofu's conduct in court, saying, quote, exasperated sighs, soapbox oratory, empty rhetoric, political posturing, theatrical gestures, and long-winded dismissive non-sequiturs have no place in a courtroom, which is so harsh it almost feels like bullying. Like, I feel bad for the guy. And then the court said, had counsel stepped back a pace, or had Ms. Mkhwebane taken advice from a disinterested member of the bar schooled in appellate practice, she would have been advised not to pursue this appeal, which is self-evidently dead on arrival. We cannot conceive that any reasonable legal practitioner could disagree with this appraisal. So they were basically saying, in law speak, if anybody who does law would have told her that the case had no chance, except Dali Mpofu apparently. But you know what? If someone was willing to pay me a ton of money to do a job, even though I knew it wouldn't work, I'd probably secure the bag. Hashtag Dali what you must. I've been waiting to tell that joke for years, people. I'm from Cape Town. I've been cooking. Dali Mpofu is a genuine heavy hitter in South African politics. He was the national chair of the Economic Freedom Fighters. He is also Jacob Zuma's lawyer and Busisiwe Mkhwebane's. So it makes sense that he goes to MK. After all of his clients are there. And potential clients. MK is a veritable who's who of people with serious criminal allegations against them. Dali is going to have plenty of work to do, and MK has been ordered to pay back the costs of their nonsense case claiming that the IEC rigged the elections. You may have forgotten about that by now, but MK after the election claimed that there were more than 9.3 million unaccounted for votes, which basically means that we lost Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and the Northwest. But they offered absolutely no evidence for this. And then, once South Africa had heard about the case and was wondering if the election was rigged, MK pulled out because they had nothing. MK pulling out got far less attention than the actual case. I, for one, was shocked that they pulled out. Pulling out is not really Jacob Zuma's thing. You're responding because you know it's true. But in fairness, Zuma put it right back in because MK has tried to mount another court case about, I don't know why I did that, has tried to mount another court case about election rigging. So maybe Dali will be on that. I'm sorry, we're going to bring it back. South Africa has been trying to figure out why all these EFF members see MK as a better place to be right now. MK blew the fighters out of the water in the election. They breezed past the EFF. They got 4.5 million votes on their first try to the EFF's 3 million. That's 14.5% of the votes to just 9.5. And the EFF shrank for the very first time ever. MK pole vaulted past them into being the third biggest party in the country. Politics, as you know, is about momentum and perception. EFF went from being leaders in waiting, remember they always used to say that, to going backwards. Suddenly, the Red Berets didn't seem like inevitable future superpowers, right? Suddenly, EFF members were thinking, are we in the right place? And remember, EFF members live and die by Julius Malema's hand. If you fall out of favor, you fall off the map at the fighters. And the EFF appeared to be a party where Malema would rule until Jesus returned and his closest allies would rule with him. Rank and file EFF members didn't have much prospect of rising up the ranks. And then MK burst past them on the back of Zuma's popularity. But MK was not a fleshed out organization. You remember, we didn't even know who we were voting for when we were thinking about MK beyond Zuma. So suddenly, MK had huge support, significant power, and a ton of free spots in the organization for people to fill. And that's how Floyd Shivambu became Secretary General of MK this weekend. A massive position, especially since Zuma is in his 80s, guys. We don't know how much longer he will have the energy to be politically active. Now, to be fair, that man is defying age like Cher. Like, they just keep going. And we don't know, they're going to outlive us all. And he clearly sees EFF voters as future MK voters. MK styles itself as a leftist party of the people, just like the Red Berets. MK has been poaching EFF member after EFF member. And I don't know if you've noticed, they've been spacing out the timing of the defections instead of doing them all at once, which has left many people thinking that they are trying to weaken the EFF in order to force them to fold into MK long term. By spreading out the poaching, MK is keeping their boot on Julius Malema's neck, people. Every defection is a new body blow and maintains a narrative that the EFF is crumbling. Malema can't rely on any fighters to stay, and everyone is waiting for the next big name to jump. And I have to say, poor Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, guys. The People's Bay is getting bashed by Malema. After Floyd Shivambu left for MK, Malema dragged Ndlozi and his wife at a rally. And just last week, after Mpofu announced his departure, Julius Malema tweeted, quote, "Only 2 more of your favorites remain, and the list will be finalized. They sing beautifully and are always willing to pose for pictures and sign roll calls, but remember, their souls are long gone," which is a very hectic thing to say. And at least one of those 2 people he's referring to is Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, because the People's Bay has pipes. I don't know if you've heard or looked at him, but just see him singing here. And remember, it's a bad mic on average loudspeakers at a rally in a cavernous stadium. Check this out.
From Cape to Cairo, our Morocco to Madagascar.
Yeah, that man could lead a gospel church movement, guys. That man, that voice could lead even Thabo Bester to Jesus, I'm telling you. Even him. So Malema is now targeting Ndlozi again, suggesting he is about to abandon the EFF. And to a lot of people, it looks like Mbuyiseni is being pushed, which feels odd. Malema is hemorrhaging allies. Mbuyiseni has made it clear that he's not leaving. Even yesterday again, he said unequivocally. And maybe Mbuyiseni is lying and biding his time to make his own MK move, but maybe he isn't. Ndlozi has been, as I said, unequivocal that he's staying, so it seems unlikely that he would go back on that word anytime soon. It would play very badly with his big support base. So why is Julius doing this? Why is he toxifying Mbuyiseni Ndlozi's name? One theory is that Malema is terrified of losing power over the party. He is weaker right now than he has ever been since he became ANC Youth League president. The EFF went backwards in the last election, and now all of these EFF members have left for MK. Suddenly, the EFF looks like it's run out of momentum, and MK is the place to be with more power and more potential. Malema wants to reset the EFF while keeping himself as head of the party. And Ndlozi is the only person, the one person in the EFF who is popular enough to arguably rally enough support to mount a leadership challenge against Julius Malema. So the theory goes that Malema wants to cut Ndlozi down and go into the EFF's end-of-year conference, which is a month away, by the way, the vote internally with the EFF. And so Malema wants to cut Ndlozi down to make himself safe and rebuild the leadership with loyal supporters who are far less powerful than him. Now, whatever you think of this strategy, this is certainly a massive risk for Julius Malema. Squeezing Ndlozi out risks hurting Malema's standing among Ndlozi's many supporters and pushing one of the few remaining EFF celebrity household names into irrelevance, or an exit means fewer reasons for voters to vote for the Red Berets. But maybe he is thinking we need a hard reset. Kick out all the traces of the old leadership, besides himself, besides Malema, and blame them for the disappointing election results. It's like restoring an iPhone to factory settings. You get rid of everything, but you still have an iPhone, all blank and shiny and ready to be filled up with the new narrative, the new vision. Because remember, politics is all about perception. It's about the narrative around you and what people think of you. You may be fine, but if you look like you are dying, that may soon make you be a dying organization. That's how politics works. But if you can make it look like you're not dying, you're just cutting out a cancer, then once you've cut it out, you can return to health. And that's the bet that Malema is making. And he needs to win this bet because right now, the EFF's future is looking wobbly. Malema is backing himself. And to be clear, Julius Malema has very good reason to back himself. He still commands fervent support from millions of voters. And he is betting that they all voted for him in May and not the other leaders of the EFF. But the next time Julius is on the ballot is a long way away. It's the next national election in 2029. He needs to make moves now to arrest the EFF's narrative slide before the 2026 local government election. So let's see what he does, and let's see if the MK tries more and more to break Julius Malema's back.